In 2016, Tom King wrote a comic book about Batman, Catwoman, Superman, and Lois Lane going on a double date. This comic lives rent-free in my head, mostly because of this page, and more specifically because of this panel. For a bit of context, if you haven't read Tom King's entire Batman run, which I wouldn't really blame you for, the group of four are going to a costume carnival for their date, and in the spirit of not ruining their secret identities, are switching costumes. Hence, the slightly awkward changing panels. The part I really want to talk about in this is the dialogue. When Clark gives Bruce his costume, he informs Bruce that the S stands for hope. Bruce, in turn, responds that the bat means a bat, somewhat sarcastically, I would presume. But what else makes switching costumes with your best friend less awkward than clarifying that the bat on your costume is entirely literal and has no symbolic meaning? Except, I think Tom King is entirely wrong here, both in terms of characterization and the understanding of what the bat symbol even means. The symbol has grown to have a meaning past the iconic, "I must become a bat" moment in year one. Let's start with a little imagination exercise. Pretend you're a Gotham City citizen. You work a blue-collar job. Your existence is populated by two things. One is the fear that a criminal will decide one day that it is your day to suffer at their hands. And the second is a fear that one day a police officer will decide it is your day to suffer at their hands. You wonder if the rot of the city is unchangeable, like everyone says it is. You wonder if you will ever be able to not be scared. You look up at the sky, past the oppressive darkness of the night and the constant gloom of the city, and you see a light. If you really think about it, the symbolism of the bat signal is really on the nose. It's not trying hard to disguise itself, but despite this, I think its symbolism is missed by a lot of people. And very easily, too. I never really considered it for a while, but then it just clicked, and I was like, oh, wait a second. It is, quite literally, a light of the darkness. It cuts through the darkness, and the smog that's often used to characterize Gotham, and it shines a light in the sky. It is a light for the people. They can look up at it and believe that there can be change in the city. Unless you're a criminal, of course, in which case you look up at it and think about changing career paths, or how much you want to kill that guy. This idea is explored thematically even when it's not directly addressed by the narrative. In The Dark Knight, Batman gives up the mantle of hope and protector of the city and gives it to Harvey Dent. He, along with Gordon, makes Harvey into an unmasked martyr, the symbol of hope that the city needs. Because of this, the bat signal is destroyed. I think that this symbolically really represents what the bat signal means, even though it doesn't directly address what it meant before. In transferring hope to Harvey Dent, we're taking it away from Batman, and thus the signal represents that hope for the citizens of Gotham. The destruction of it represents the transference. This idea is reflected in the comics as well. When Batman loses the goodwill of the city and the public, the bat signal often goes out. It returns often as a warning for criminals. Batman's coming back and he's gonna finish what he started, but it's also hopeful. Batman's coming back and he's going to finish what he started. There are many times in the comics as well where the signal is left on, even if Batman's AWOL. There are two reasons for this, obviously. Of course, there's the deterrence of it. We don't want the criminals to know that the Batman's disappeared, so we're gonna keep the lights on. But also, there is the hope. It's a war-torn city. We don't want the citizens to know that their protector, the person that they look up to, the person that they believe, when they say that they're going to fix the city and help the people around them, has disappeared. In Batman Ego, Bruce has an extended conversation with the ego part of his personality. In this conversation, Ego discourages Bruce with the ineffectiveness of his mission, and encourages more violence to achieve his goal. This comic is basically a lot of Ego being like, "You're not doing good for the city! Consider murder!" But in the end, they do agree on a balance. Bruce needs his Batman persona, and the violence that comes with it, but there is a line. The line that Bruce draws in this comic is no killing. Just as much as Batman is a terrifying symbol to the underworld, Bruce argues, he is also a symbol to the good people of this city, a symbol of hope. This theme can't just exist in Bruce's head, though. Enter Cassandra Cain. For those unfamiliar with Cassandra Cain, she's the second Batgirl. She's the daughter of David Cain and was raised to be an assassin. Her socialization as a child consisted of David teaching her how to fight, and other trainers also teaching her how to fight. David forces Cassandra to kill someone very young, and after this she runs away. In the series, she gets to explore herself a little more, and in Batgirl 50, we eventually see the resolution of tensions building between Bruce and Cassandra during her rebellious teenager phase, for lack of a better description. They literally fight this out, which I don't recommend as parenting, but it works for them. The fight concludes with a conversation. In this conversation, Bruce asks Cassandra up front, "Where do your loyalties lie? Is it with Barbara? Is it with me?" But Cassandra rejects both those offers. "No, not you. This." This panel is especially important to my entire point because I think it effectively outlines what the bat really is to people. The bat means hope, but it's not just the abstract society can be better kind of hope. It's a lot more individualized than that. It's I can be better, or I can heal. Cassandra is a really good example of this. She spends the first few volumes of her series in this deep state of self-hate and complete lack of belief in the value of her own life. She thinks she deserves to die, and so she doesn't protect herself. But when she finally has time to explore what she is, she can get the idea of what the bat really means, and she adopts it as her own. It's a really important theme with Cassandra as a character where she's choosing her own path. She's choosing who she is. She can heal from her trauma, and she's not defined by what her father, David Cain, wants her to be. Eventually, this idea also continues to the idea of being able to choose who your family is. This version of hope is also reflected in the themes of Matt Reeves' creatively titled The Batman. Bruce in this movie spends a lot of it the same as Cassandra. He doesn't believe in the value of his own life, he doesn't try to live it, and he's not trying to preserve it. He exists in Batman only in the abstract, violent idea of vengeance. And he's characterized by this almost obsessive need for it, like he doesn't believe that he could have a life outside of being Batman. He doesn't even believe that it's working, but he's defined by it. And in many ways it isn't working. We are both told that violent crime is up and shown how Batman inspires violent crime instead of deterring it. We learn later that this complete lack of belief in the own value of Bruce's life comes from the guilt surrounding what happened to his parents. But Bruce ends up at a very different place at the end of the movie. He realizes that vengeance isn't the answer and really can't be the answer. All of the hurt, traumatized people that he's interacted with throughout the entire movie only get more pain from the idea of vengeance. They're not healed by it, and they're not comforted by it. They're just hurting, and the vengeance is an extension of that hurt. It's the same for him as well. So he turns to something different, to hope. He states at the end that he now believes that people need hope, and in turn starts to try to become that hope. When he says at the end of the movie that he believes that the city can change, he truly means it. And it's not just the city changing. I think he also believes that he can change, and he can heal. He doesn't really know how to go about doing it yet. He's young and he's inexperienced, and I'd argue he has absolutely no idea of what being hope looks like. He knows that being vengeance is no longer good enough, and that he needs to be something bigger and better than that. Hope is the idea that he's settled on, and I think it represents what he's going for pretty easily. There is a lot of talk when there's a new Batman being cast about how Batman should be able to be pictured with a child or comforting a child, and I think this is really true. With Batman has always come a child that he's trying to protect, a child he's trying to nurture. Batman has always had Robin. In the times that Robin has died or grown up, there's always been a new Robin that comes in pretty quickly. There's this understanding in the comic book industry that Batman needs a Robin, and I think this is pretty true. Batman can't be alone. It goes against his fundamental theme. The bat means healing, and it means healing on an individual level. It means change on an individual level. I can be better. I can heal. I can become more than the trauma that has defined me for decades. This is different from other iterations of hope, but it's still hope nonetheless. And I think that it's an important thing to understand about his character. In conclusion, the bat means hope. It's not just a bat, and it can't just be a bat. As cool as bats are. Also, who decided to take Bruce on a double date that was at a carnival? Don't they know this guy is defined by clown trauma? Whose idea was this?